we're going to talk about writing on your website. So today is going to be all about how to get ahead of your competitors by simply just writing great content for each of your service pages and your home page on your website. All right, so let's start off with the tips section here. So one thing you want to do, and well, first off, I'll start off why it's so important. How Google ranks you online. Everyone's always asking me, how do I rank on Google? Well, one of the best things you can do is just redo your website. Take a look at your website. Do you have enough content on all of your pages? If you don't, people are going to just see a few sentences, or they're just going to see not too much information on your website, and they're going to click off and go on to the next website. Or what will happen is they'll spend only 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds on your website. They won't contact you, and you'll also get kind of a low quality score from Google, because Google wants to see people engaging with your page, on your page for at least 2 minutes or more. So if you have no content on your page, how are people going to stay on your page? So that's why you always want to have your service pages, a separate page for each one of those, so people can click around your site, learn all about your business. Basically, if they were in person and you were talking to them, you could probably talk about your business, for an hour. So just translate everything you would say in person and put that onto your site. So that's really this first one here, is write in your own unique voice. So just get your ideas down on the paper first, and then write about the topic only for that page that you're on. So if you have 5 different services, make sure you separate that out into 5 different lines of thought. Then you want to make sure that it's not difficult to read. A lot of times what people will do, they'll have really long compound sentences along the whole page. So not only do you want to make it visually easy to read with bullet points and things like that, but you also want to make sure that you have shorter sentences. Google will score you higher based on those shorter sentences, and overall you'll get a better experience for people that visit your site. You also want to find a unique angle to cover the topic. I think that applies really more towards blogs, but on your service pages, you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. So what is differentiating you from your competition? Did you get through that in your first paragraph, in your first sentence? So you want to make sure that if you sell, let's say you're a plumber, you don't want to be just like every plumber out there. You want to have tell people up front why you're the best plumber, why they should pick you. And so you should definitely have that key word in that first sentence there. So make that first sentence really the best sentence in that page. And then again, with the easy to read writing, the short paragraph, short sentences, easier words to read. Let's say you have a really technical field. We have a client that sells rollers for rolling paper, and they sell heated rollers, chilled rollers, all kinds of rollers for industrial machinery to produce products. So they do have a lot more of a technical aspect, and people that visit their site are people that are manufacturers looking specifically for these rollers. So we can show them right here. So it's Mengus roller, and so in this case in particular, if I went to one of their product pages, let's just take a look at those heat and chill rollers. So you can get a visual on that. So you can see that these are very specific industry niche rollers. Now, they're going to have a lot of words in here, such as computational fluid dynamics. Do most people know what that is? Probably not. But are the people who do know what that is going to be on this site? Yes, they will be. So they'll know exactly what they're talking about when you go on this site. And then they'll also explain it here, have visuals, but you can see that they're using shorter sentences and that it's easy to read. It's broken up here, and it's broken up visually with pictures. So you definitely want, even if you sell a very technical product, you want to make sure to still use those easy to read sentences, but some of the words might be a little bit more advanced and towards the niche. Okay, so digital content is not what you learn to write in English class. Don't write it like you were going to write a literary paper or a research project on something. Write it as if you're writing a column for a newspaper, and I know newspapers, one of their rules is to have the headlines easy enough for a 6th grader to understand. So that's a good general rule for online writing. You want to make it very simple, easy, like a magazine. That's the best kind of reading you can get on your website. So once again, I just want to stress the short and simple. Did you guys want to add anything in on that? Just these first 9 tips here?
I wanted to just ask you a little bit. I know we actually had a seminar earlier today, and one of the topics we talked about was duplicate content. Do you want to maybe just touch on why that's not good for you and how you should avoid it?
Sure. So one of the things that Google is best at is recognizing if you have duplicate content on the website. So if I took this stuff right here and I looked online and I put it into Google here, we can see that Awesome Dynamic comes up right here. And then down here it's not exactly the same. So these are all the things that come up that are very close to that, but you can see that it's not exactly duplicate content. I can also go to this website, free website, great resource, SiteLiner. And I can put in the blog page there. And you can do this for any page on your site. And we can check, it'll run for us if there's duplicate content on all of awesomedynamic.com actually. And so why is duplicate content important to avoid? Well, you will get huge penalties if most of your site is duplicate content, and we run into this a lot with let's say people that sell on Amazon, or they sell a product that's out there already. They just copy it straight from the manufacturer's website and they paste that right onto their website. You definitely do not want to do that, because if Google sees that you have the same content on everywhere on the internet, it's going to be considered low quality content and you don't have anything new to offer on that product. So it's really for the human experience and for search engines as well. Also be careful of duplicate content on your own website. For example, if you have something on the bottom of every page but it's not in the footer, so it could be like your name, address, and phone number, but for some reason you didn't put it in the footer, you put it above the footer, that could also affect your duplicate content. Also, if you have like a blog preview page, so if I go back here off of this blog for a second and just go to our blog preview page, you'll see that we have a little preview on each blog here, and if we had a few sentences here previewing each blog, if we didn't take this page off of Google and tell Google don't index this page in your search results, they would then count that as duplicate content, because you would see the same content on this page, and then when I click on this actual blog, you'll see the same couple sentences at the beginning here duplicated. So you want to make sure you don't copy and paste anything from other websites and put it onto your website, or you could get major penalties and not rank on Google anymore. And then the other thing you want to do is try and protect your content. So anyone can go online and take content off of your website and say they wrote that blog. There's a few different ways to prevent that. I do have another blog on protecting your content, but the main way is you can put one of those things where if you right-click on here, you can't copy it, or you can't take this content off. Another thing is to sign up for Google authorship, because that proves to Google that you wrote this article, you published it first. And you can see up here we've got Google authorship here. All right, and it's easy to connect that. You can just look for the instructions online or visit our blog here and look for our authorship blog. All right, and so that is duplicate content. And let's see, it's still running here, but I can check. So these are the items that have duplicate content. We just converted to a new site, so we'll probably have to fix some of this duplicate content here, but which is totally fine, because all we'd have to do is click on, let's say, one of these things here. And it tells you exactly where your duplicate content is. So you can see that this blog is probably posted twice on our blog, or it's possible that someone took this and put it on their blog. So we'd have to go back and fix that. And there's a few different websites you can go to fix that. For example, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, you can submit edits to there if people have copied your website, and you can get those taken down. All right.
All right, Robbie, you know, if I could jump in here for a second, as long as we have a little break. I wanted to, first thing I forgot to mention at the beginning is that we are looking for your questions while you're watching this, and we're monitoring those. So if you have any, you can go ahead and type them in right on our website, and we'll be able to address them specifically for you and get into those subjects for you. While I have a minute, as the Director of Sales, I got to do my job, and I want to just talk a little bit about Awesome Dynamic real quick. So first thing I want to just say is what we do at Awesome Dynamic is we get you new targeted customers. So we're not just getting you people looking at your site or your ads somewhere else or your coupons, what have you. We are getting people looking for exactly what you sell or do and getting them to call you. We do that with responsive web design, with search engine optimization. We also do that with our Google virtual tours, which are a great way to get people to preview your business as well as to get an SEO boost. And the other thing we do here at Awesome Dynamic is we are Amazon seller consultants, and we handle people all over the country and now I would say all over the world who are looking to get their products sold on Amazon. A lot of different ways we can help. And these webinars are regular. They're every Thursday, so feel free to jump on and bring your questions. So there's our little interjection there, Robin, and now I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Sure. All right. So this is also a great writing tip. So great writing never happens on the first draft. What you want to do is just write your initial ideas down first. I know a lot of business owners have, you know, they always say that they're going to write their blog, or they've just been putting it off, or they write a blog, you know, once every 6 months. So what Google's looking for is regularity. So you want to get your service pages down first and your home page. So we recommend about 1,500 words on your home page, or just more than your competitors have. And then we recommend 300 to 600 words at a minimum on your main service pages in your navigation. So you should have a separate page for every single service that you have, because if people search for that service in Google and Google doesn't have a page all about that for you to direct them to, Google won't direct them to your home page. So Google will only direct them to a page all about that thing that they Googled. So, you know, if you own a restaurant in, or what kind of service would be like let's see, yeah, if you have a restaurant and you have the main menu and all the food that you offer, then you also have parties, you also have weddings. You want to have a different page for every single service that you offer. If you do birthday parties, that would be a different page. So you don't want to just lump all of your categories into one page. All right. So, yeah, the first thing you want to do just for great blog writing and great page writing, just write your ideas down first. And you can do this on Word. You can do it directly into your blog editing website if you have access to the back end of your website, which you should have that access. And so you make sure you don't rely on 100% on your webmaster to put up these blogs. Make sure you have access to your back end of your website so you can post the blogs regularly every week. And just do your best job in editing these blogs. So you can always put a first draft out there, and then later in the week go back and revise it. So once you have the blog finished, you can always go back and re-edit it, and that's actually highly recommended. All right. So most people, when they read online or if they read a magazine or a newspaper, what they do is scan. So you have to write in the style that these scanners, as we call them, are going to read your article or your web page or your service page. You have to write for them. So in order to write for these scanners and keep them on the page, because your whole goal is to keep them on the page for as long as possible, so you get the credit on Google for people staying on your site forever, and then you go up in the rankings when you get people staying on your site for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, which is a great experiment you can do if you have, you can just see exactly go on your Google Analytics. If you don't have a Google Analytics account, sign up. It's free. You can start today. And it will tell you how many minutes, how many seconds people are spending on your whole website on average, and on each page, how many seconds people are spending on each page, so you'll know which pages that need improvement if people are not spending enough time on those pages. All right, so does your headline communicate what you're about? The headline is probably the biggest thing you can do for your website, because it's going to show up in a Google result, and then it's also going to show up in it's on the title of the page. So if I search the best Thai food I'm in Highland Park right now. So it's going to show me some results here. The local results, but then if I kept going down here, so it's going to show me a whole bunch of Yelp stuff, but you can see Ruby of Siam is really the first one that's on here. So if I clicked on Ruby of Siam, why are they ranking #1? Well, let's take a look at their page. They have a lot of content? They really don't. So that's it's kind of a mystery why they're ranking #1 here, but they probably have some good signals on Google. So for example, and there's probably in the scope as well. You can see right here that in Highland Park there's only 2 results. So of course Ruby of Siam is going to show up because there's only 2 results. So even if they have the worst website in the world, they're going to show up because I'm searching for Highland Park. But let's take a look at this. They have 27 reviews, and this one has 20 reviews. Even though, so they have the same amount, they have the same rating, 3.9, and that's most of the reason why that's showing up. If I go a little bit more general, or we can see, let's say, what's the trendiest hairstyle right now? There'll probably be a blog on this. Okay, so Good Housekeeping shows up. And you can see the trendiest hairstyle, the year you were born. So that's like a very eye-catching, kind of like link bait, something that you would want. But if I wanted to know about 2016, what's the trendiest hairstyle right now? Let's click on that. Okay, so this one is not loading. Having some great examples today. Let's go to trendiest hairstyles for men right now. Okay, so you can see it has a bunch of shares. It has, the fade, trendiest hairstyle for men right now. So it's very specific. It is 2015, so it's a little bit older of an article, but we can see that this article has a good title, and it's exactly what we searched for. It has the word trendy in it. If I search best, I would get completely different results, but you can see that it's a good length. It's got pictures in here, interactive pictures, and it's got probably some comments in here. So you can see that that is an example of what you want. That article was not that long, but it was very specific, which is why it came up. So you want to definitely have all of these items for scanners. For example, the headline, you want a great image captions, the subheadlines, summarize your key points. So you can see in this article right here, I've got a title that is going to catch your attention, and it has the keyword in there. And my keyword was website content. And I can see I have website content in the first sentence there, and it describes the article. Then you can see I have all these headers that are eye-catching, and I have these little hints and clues here to keep you reading. For example, I got the title here, a picture there, then I have start ranking today, here's how, so you read on a little bit, and then I have all these headers. So if I were just going to scan this really quick, you can see the Right for Lazy People, that's basically what we're doing here. You can see that I have all these little headers here that are keeping people reading. So if you just scan this article for something that you needed, you could easily find it. All right. And you can see also, you got to write for lazy people when you're writing online articles to keep their attention with those little hints like this, like Google reads something like this, write for lazy people. So you can see that if you have this optimized article here, that you're going to get more people reading it and at least scanning it at the very least. All right. So making your copy easy to read. You have to use short paragraphs. We recommend 4 sentences max. I've seen blog articles that they write 2 sentences, put a bunch of space in between, then write another sentence, then put a bunch of space. They bold stuff all the time. You can put tons of headers. I like a little bit shorter headers sometimes, but you can do. They're called H2s, H3s. Google picks up on these things, so you have to name them the correct way. And that's in your editing software when you create the blog. If you just write this in paragraphs, Google will not pick up that these are headers. So you have to label these as headers. And your web developer can show you how to do that. Skip any unnecessary words. So you just want to make it as short and sweet as possible for each sentence. But you can still have a long blog. Just break it up with these visual cues. Okay, so you want to avoid passive tense. You just really want to be tailored to your readers, the tone of your blog, everything like that. So the overall theme here is just short and sweet. These things will keep people on your blog as well. The cliffhangers, like read on for this, here's the big secret, or don't miss out on this tip. And then they'll continue to read on here. All right. So the web copy and web design should work together. It's very important to integrate the 2 departments together. So you want to make sure that your web team is on board with the format of this, and if you need to add pictures or videos in here, that it's very easy to do that. You also want to have a call to action on the page. So if you have an email list you can sign up for, or something like a webinar, you can put that in there. And after this webinar, we're actually going to integrate this video right into this blog. All right. Using common language, we went over that a little bit already. There is such thing as a reading score that some websites look at and search engines look at. So try to use the most simple language as possible. All right. And then, yes, you always want to tailor to your audience. And just make sure that you want to know what the goals of your website are. So you can say, I want more views on this website, or I need more volunteers, or I need more people filling out the contact page. I want more phone calls. So depending on your goal, that's what you would put on your call to action on these sites, and then just tailor it to whatever your specific goal is. So you can organize your blog that way. If your goal is, a more visual layout, you can have more pictures. If it's more captions, you can have slideshows on your blog. You can do a whole number of things. All right. And yes, you have to tailor to your audience. Obviously, if you have a more serious tone, let's say you have a volunteer organization for, to take care of battered dogs, and then you don't want to write in a silly tone and have funny pictures of dogs and jokes and funny quotes all over the place. You want to have a more serious tone. All right, and the last thing is something that Google takes very seriously, is building trust. So you want to build trust with your audience, and you want to make sure that you always have great, accurate information. You can cite the information. You want people to trust your website, and trust also comes from regular updating. So if your website's out of date, just go ahead and update it. It's as simple as that. You would be surprised how many people have not updated their site in 5 years or 10 years. You can take a look at some of your competitors' sites, and they have old information, or they just have information that's not relevant anymore. Like, for example, they'll have their copyright at the bottom, and they'll accidentally put their established date there. So 2016, it should be the current year here, and you can auto set it for January 1st every year. So just little things like that, keeping your content up to date and really talking to your audience. Did you guys have any more writing tips for blogs or for your website?
I was just going to jump in and just ask Paul if there was any questions, first of all, that we needed to address on this, and also he's been quiet, so I want to see what he wants to add in.
There has been no questions yet. I've been keeping an eye, but back to you, Paul.
Sure. So one of the biggest things that you really need to think about is no one wants, so why are we talking about this? And it's because no one wants to read paragraphs of information about what you have like a novel. It can be an immediate turnoff as soon as they get there. And so a lot of these tips are really to help you rethink about how you're going to present your content to somebody, and that can be very important. If I see a whole bunch of paragraphs wall to wall to wall all the way down the page, no pictures breaking it up, no subheadings, I just don't want to read it. I'll just hit back and go to something else and look for something that allows me to scan. So when Raman says, write for those people who scan things, that's so important. And you think about it like a magazine or a newspaper. When you pick up those printed documents that are out there, a lot of people gravitate towards those because they're able to quickly find what they're looking for and then zero in and read about the piece that they want.
That's a good point. Whenever I open up like a Bloomberg Weekly or like a Time magazine, that big article in the middle, I usually skip over that first and try to read the short articles first. Then if I'm really interested in that, I'll go back and read that one.
Right. Yeah, people. Yeah, as time moves on, technology advances. People have less and less time. If they're looking for a particular piece of information, they want to be able to scan, look for it, zero in, find what they're looking for, and move on with their day. And if you do a really good job, not only of breaking it up so they can find what they're looking for, and they read that piece and it's phenomenal, then you have an opportunity to, capture their interest, and they may want to dive in and read more about what you have to say on that article, or even dive into your website further and learn more about your brand, or want to contact you and do business with you. So the whole idea is to engage them and pull them into the site and make it something that's not abrasive or standoffish with paragraph copy. We're looking to draw them in with breaking up this content and all these different tips that Robin's been presenting here. Terry, so when we take a look at different websites, many times I guess the one issue that we come across is folks that are that have too little to say, where they just say maybe a couple sentences about what they have. And one experience that I found recently that's been really working well for when we're developing a new website with someone is if we don't say to them, what do you want to say on your home page, or what do you want to say on your about page, or what do you want to say on your whatever service page it is, we found that the people freeze up and it's like deer in the headlights, and they don't want to provide anything because it's like, oh my God, I'm going to be writing this and thousands of people could be reading this. So the way we've framed it, or something new that we're trying, is we're asking them questions like, what is your business plan? What's your mission? What makes you different from your other competitors? When you go to a networking meeting, what do you tell people when you say how you're different from your competitors, or what you do? And we get immediately answer the question, and they get into the information right away. And we draw that through the writing, and then obviously we can polish and make it better. But sometimes folks just get very apprehensive and have a lot of anxiety writing for something that's going to be out in a public space for anybody to see. So that one tip that Robin had about just write, just let it all flow out into the piece of paper, or onto your Word document or Google Drive doc or whatever it is. So this way it's out there, and then spend your time with the editing process. I know there's a quote by Stephen King, something about don't go back and change your typos, your spelling, or anything. Just let it all flow out. You can always go back and fix it, but getting those ideas on the page is the most important thing, and then you can go back and fix it.
I agree with that statement. I struggled with that for a long time when I ran a business many moons ago, and after talking with more business owners and educated people, you realize almost the 80-20 rule, I think it's called, Paul, or get 80% on and worry about the other 20% later. So there's many times I didn't release a product or a web page or an auction because I just was spending too many hours and days polishing the last 10 and 20%, and I think that just rings true on my side. So hopefully other people can learn from my mistakes and our knowledge.
Perfection hinders progress. That's something that Jim Starwalt with Better Homes and Gardens told me, and I love that phrase. So don't worry about making it perfect the first time. Just get all the stuff out there, and you can always refine it later.
Agreed.
All right. Anything else that we want to cover about the writing?
I just want to stress that this is not SEO is not super technical when you come to the writing part. I mean, there is technical parts where you put in the keyword here, you put it in the first paragraph, it's got to be in a header, but really just getting the content on your website is what Google is looking for and what will rank you online.
Yeah, what we can do is in the show notes for this particular video and webinar, as well as on this blog, I don't know if it's already linked or not, Robin, but linked to some of those technical pieces that you need to consider of how to work in the keyword. Yeah, this is all just about getting it all out on the page and have it resonate with the human being. And then you get all that part done, then you just tweak it up for all the keywords, which is the technical part of SEO, and it's a big piece of the puzzle. But yeah, if you get a whole bunch of people to your website and they get to this article that's just a big block of text and they leave right away, what's the point? So you really got to have something that resonates with the person that gets there, and that's why they always talk about, right for humans.
Mm-hmm.